Hello, welcome to this video on the invoicing software. We're currently on the invoice search form with 4 invoices listed here. If we want to locate an invoice, we have a number of options of finding them, either by the client, the site, between certain dates, or of course the invoice number. We have an invoice highlighted here, and to the right it shows a descriptive text used on that invoice, and the bottom part of the form shows the details added to the invoice, and each detail line can have a full descriptive text to go with it. So if I run the copy invoice here, it will just show you how that formats on an invoice. So there's our descriptive text, there's the detail line, and there's the text to go with that particular detail item. So we move on and enter some payments against invoices. Okay, we've got the 4 items listed here, 2 in black, 2 red. The reason they're in red is that they're overdue, 9 days and 2 days. If we want, we can run a report for outstanding invoices, or we can send off customer statements. And as we've got 2 invoices which are overdue for Harvard builders there, I will select customer statement, select the customer that I want to run the report for, and then when I run the report, it gives a statement to Harvest Builders for the 2 invoices, shows the dates the invoice was produced, when payment was required by, the amounts due, what has been paid, what's outstanding, and the number of days overdue. So if they come back with some payments for us, we can enter those, and the easiest way to do it is just to double click on the invoice or then fill out the information for us. If they sent us the full amount, then we can mark it as paid and enter that payment. And then the next item, if I double click that one again just to fill out the information, but this time I'm not going to mark it as paid because let's assume they only sent us, say, £50. So we'll enter the £50 payment. That updates the records, so it shows now an invoice amount of 75, that we've received 50, and there's still 25 outstanding. The bottom of the form shows payments that were received against each invoice. So with that part payment there, it shows the £50 that and the date we received it, and the one above, it shows that we've received the full amount on that particular date. So you should never have a problem keeping on top of your debtors. It's fairly straightforward to enter the payments received, get outstanding payment reports, and produce statements for customers. So let's move on to producing invoices. So we select the Invoice tab, and we'll run through this screen now. There are a lot of different ways of producing an invoice. First of all, we select New Invoice. Before I run into the different ways of producing an invoice on this screen, if you just come over from the Viper video, Viper is another program we do for producing payment applications and handling retention payments, letting us know when they're due. In that video, we entered an application for payment for a couple of sections against a project. So what I would do first of all is just show you how you would enter an interim payment from an application that's been made via the Viper program. So we've selected New Invoice, and we just go straight down to Project. Select the project in question, which was E44, and the application we sent off was the last one, number 3, for the 2 sections. So we want to do is double click that, and it will enter up all the information for us there. If I just set the due date there, it's put in the customer details, the amount that we're invoicing. It has the main contractors and the retention percentage to be deducted from the invoice. If I want, I can add some text in here, or I can just leave that blank because it's showing below that we're invoicing for the lighting and fire alarm section and the rates there. So if I raise that invoice, then it gives us the detail, and it also makes a note that the subtotals is net of the main contractors and retention percentage. So I say that's raising an interim payment from an application that was made via the Viper program. The next way to produce invoices is from the invoicing software itself. So if I select new invoice, the first way is to select items from the invoicing database, and we can see a few samples down the bottom here. So we've got intruder 12-month alarm check and the details of the text for that item. I'll move on to the next one. You can see the text changes, and this is what will be entered onto the invoice. So we can enter one or more items off the invoicing database. So if I enter that one and raise that invoice, oh sorry, I haven't entered a customer. Right, so I'll enter a customer. If I put that one in for Harvard Builders and I select a site as well, now if I raise it, it should be happy. So there's our descriptive item there and the rate, and there's text that goes with it. So that's raising an invoice from the invoice database. If I select new invoice again, next way we can enter an item is by selecting item, which allows us to enter a quantity, a rate, and descriptive text. So we can just sit here and enter ad hoc items, and they will accumulate on the detail list there. We can also enter text if we want. We just want to add some descriptive text to the detail, or we can import information from either our estimating software or from our small work software. So if I just for this one pull in some information from our estimating software, if I select a simple estimate, options we have here are section rates, assembly rates, scheduled unit rates, or bills of quantities if we've produced them. I'm just going to pull in a couple of sections. So if I select, say, the power section, and if I want more than one, I can select more than one section. By default, it will enter 100% of the costs that we've supplied to our customer. If for some reason you want to enter a smaller percentage, then just edit that percentage there, or you can enter an ad hoc value there if you wish. So if I select insert, then it adds those to the detail, those two sections. It pulls off some text from the estimate itself, which we can edit here or leave in if we want, and fills in the customer and site details for us. So when we raise that one, it's got the text there for us along with the two sections that we pulled in. So just to recap, the ways we can produce invoices are A, from an application for payment that we made to our customer using our Viper software. Just put it straight in from the project, and it pre-fills all the information for us, and we just raise it, and it will log the information, update the Viper project with all the payment details. Similarly, when we enter the payments, if you use them Viper, it'll update the information within Viper. The next option is to enter a totals only, where we just simply set an amount, enter some text and invoice it. Then we have the option to enter itemized details from our invoicing database, or add ad hoc items into the estimate, or of course the other two items options were to enter items from either importing estimates or importing details from the small works. If we need to enter a credit note, then we can enter credit notes, and of course, if we use Sage, we can export the information for Sage to pick up. So that's just a brief overview of the invoicing software. If you would like more information, then please contact us. Thank you very much for your time.